Former Governor Lord King has warned that the Bank of England has made major blunders in the fight against inflation and that it faces a lengthy period of painful price increases unless it acts quickly. During the COVID epidemic, officials at Threadneedle Street encouraged a price spike by creating money, according to the crossbench peer. He said that the idea that the present interest rate of 1%, which is extremely low by historical standards, will have any substantial influence while inflation is at 7%, while it's now 9%, is just bizarre. Opeoluwa Dapo Thomas, international financial analyst, joins us from sunny Ibiza in Spain. Good morning or good afternoon. Yeah, good morning to you. What do you make of the latest inflation figures? Let's start there in the UK.
Well, it's quite high, and in fact, the numbers are being questioned. I mean, 9% is what the government is saying. However, when you look at the analysis or how it affects the lower income earning people, it's almost entering double digits. It's 11%, because obviously most of them spend a high portion of their budget on fuel and food, and those are like the biggest contributors to the inflation. So then again, it's showing how much is affecting them, how much is attacking the poorest people. Yes, the Labour government is saying they're going to find an emergency budget to help cost of living, but I think the crisis is bigger than what they think it is. It's going to be very, very, very difficult for them to make serious adjustment to the inflation numbers.
All right, and what do you make of the criticism of Andrew Bailey coming from Lord King?
Well, it's what will I call it? It's typical economist disagreement, yeah, and it's fine. And it's his standpoint is saying you can't have inflation at 9% and your interest rate is at 1% or thereabout. You have to use interest rates to tackle bridling inflation. But the problem is, I think Andrew Bailey and the British Bank have made a mistake, just like other governments have made a mistake, is when they were increasing monetary supply, or when the British government was increasing monetary supply, then the central bank will have found a way to press the brakes. So pressing the brakes right now is wrong, and it might be futile, and they're trying not to get the economy overrun. But however, the interest rate is too low if you compare it to what the inflation rate is. I think they have to adjust it, and that is what King is saying. He has made serious mistakes. Is there a way for him to reconcile these mistakes? Is there a way for him to adjust it? I think there is, but the truth is they have to find a way to increase interest rates.
Now, Bailey is forecasting 10% inflation. He's talking about the recession. Is there anything that can be done to bring those figures down? Or at this point, you're saying 11% for the average, British person. So, well, what can be done at this point?
The problem is the cost of the inflation is out of their hands. In fact, technically, it's in their hands, but out of their hands. Because what are the biggest contributors? Diesel, fuel, food cost, supply chain. Most of these things are coming from Russia, Ukraine area. Most of them, Russia, Ukraine are big producers of food and oil and all that. So the crisis is affecting, and the sanctions obviously is affecting the supply of these products or these commodities. So these are the biggest contributors to inflation. So when you say, what can you do to fix it? The first thing is that war has to end. It has come to an end, because it's going to affect food supply. I mean, you can see it in Africa as well. Food is increasing as well. So that is one of the problems. Fuel price is a component of oil prices. If oil prices still stays at 3 digits, then we're having an issue. We need to bring oil prices back to $50. And although, yes, that doesn't favor Nigeria. Oh, no, that favors Nigeria. But although it doesn't favor most oil-producing countries. But that's the goal. The goal is to bring it down so that fuel can be cheaper. And when fuel is cheaper, you see how it affects how inflation comes down. So when you're throwing a monetary policy to fix a problem that's not, it's a part of it's a monetary problem, but it's not holistically a monetary issue, then you're just going to be running around in circles. So the truth is, if they say, okay, let's increase interest rates, you're just going to fix part of the problem. The main problem is systemic, and that's rising from the Russia-Ukraine crisis. So if we can find a way if all governments can come together and see how they can put an end to this, or ensure that the war doesn't affect the cost of living of people, of innocent people, people are going to die, people are going to put into energy poverty, food poverty. They have to find a way to fix this problem. So these are the issues we're talking about.
All right, well understood. To the BBC, should it start a subscription service? What do you make of the suggestion there?
Well, companies are trying to be innovative to find more ways to get revenue. In fact, we've been seeing how Elon Musk, the potential owner of Twitter, said he wants to find a way to get revenue for Twitter. You can't be using certain and do not want to pay more like what it optimally for it. And if you compare BBC to other network services in America, most of them use subscription services, but you could risk losing customers because annual fee, for example, for BBC, I think it's about £159 annually. Yeah. So if you're paying 159 quid for BBC service and you want to run it in a subscription way, you risk people contemplating and asking, do I have to pay for next month? In fact, what is the BBC producing for me? It's a two-way thing. It could go well, it could go wrong. But a lot of media outlets are saying that their revenue, is being dwindled, and they're trying to be innovative to say, let's run subscription services. And I think that might be the right way to go.
All right. Since we're talking subscription, Netflix, what do you make of the job cuts that Netflix had to go through?
Well, I mean, it's meant to happen because obviously, if you're losing 200,000 subscribers with the potential to lose a few more million subscribers, then something's got to pay. And sadly, and unfortunately, employees on the payroll have to go because you are trying to reduce costs. That's the first thing of business, trying to reduce costs and eliminate your overheads. So that is what Netflix has gone for, because if the business is not booming, then why are we having employees? How do we feed this? How do we pay these employees? The business model is at risk, so it's unsustainable to have such high overhead costs when revenue is dwindling, and there's a forecast for it to continue dwindling. So I think until they find a way to bring more revenue on board, they don't need as much staff as they think they have, and that's why they've made these adjustments.
It's a tough time for them. Well, as far as streaming is concerned, looking ahead, do you still see struggles for Netflix?
Well, Netflix has competitors, and that's where the problem is. Netflix's problem is a content problem. So it's not about distribution or sales subscription or whatever it is. It's the content. What are they producing and the quality of shows they're producing? They've produced a few quality shows. I mean, Squid Games was probably the highlight of one of the shows they produced, but they can't keep up with it. And they've got competitors, HBO, Disney, we've got Peacock, thereabout. These guys are big, these guys are blowing, and they've got these guys on the rise. So how do you keep ahead of your competitors? You have to produce more. You have to put more money into R&D, into production, put more money into movie production, try and get more high-profile movies, high-profile actors to keep people engaged. But if you are losing content and you are talking about bringing back adverts, raising streaming costs, saying people should not share passwords, then again, you're losing a fan base. And obviously, Netflix should know this. It's a very, very, very sensitive industry they're in, where all deals with consumer behavior and how consumers react to certain things. And everyone is quite sensitive to change. So they need to understand the business model and understand that if they bring out better content, they get more people to stay in because of their competitors.
All right. Finally, you know what? I want to link this back to the BBC. So if Mr. Neil is suggesting the BBC start a subscription service, and they're seeing what's happening with Netflix and challenges of streaming, you think they'll think twice before they jump in there?
Well, it's a factor they'll have to consider. However, BBC has content. I mean, they produce news, they produce movies. Obviously, they are home to one of the largest population that enjoy entertainment. I mean, British people enjoy entertainment, theatre, and thereabouts. So if you can produce a lot of content, the content is the key. So if BBC believe they can produce more content or better content than Netflix, they wouldn't be afraid of having Netflix issues. So these are the different dynamics that we have to discuss.
Opeoluwa Dapo Thomas, International Financial Analyst, thank you so much for joining us and taking us through those headlines. Appreciate your time.